My name is Ryleigh Evers, and my new student dialogue was mental health in college students. First of all, I do think that the group reached a true dialogue because anyone who wanted to talk could, and there was never anyone fighting over other people, and it didn't feel at all like an argument. Um, and I don't think anyone really made any offensive statements. There were people who were actively voicing their opinion more than others. Maybe they felt more strongly about the topic or knew more information about the topic that we were discussing at that point. Some people seemed to be more passionate than others about it. Other people were quiet. I'm sure there were a few people that only spoke once or twice the entire 2 hours, and there were sections where the leaders seemed to struggle to get any response, specifically during the part about discussion versus dialogue versus debate. People didn't really have motivation to answer during that part, I guess. I would say 30% of people spoke a lot, or maybe 20% spoke a lot, 10% moderate, and then about 70% didn't speak very often. However, I do think that the people who did speak covered a lot of different opinions and covered a lot of information. So even if you didn't talk a lot, you still learned a lot during it. For myself personally, I definitely wasn't one of the super vocal people, but I definitely spoke multiple times throughout, and if I had a strong enough opinion on something, I did voice it. However, I didn't feel like I needed or had the expertise that other people had. A lot of people had personal stories about different mental health issues, whether it be themselves or people they knew, and I didn't have that level of experience with it as other people did. I do have some connections. Obviously, I have family members and friends that I've known that have had mental health problems where I've seen it. So when I felt like it was relevant, then I commented on the subject we were speaking of. We covered all different kinds of mental health issues: OCD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, alcoholism, drug addiction, panic attacks. So we covered a wide spectrum, I felt like. There were a lot of people that had connections to panic attacks because it's a more common issue. And then I also felt like our leader, one of the leaders, had a good connection to the topic because she had a lot of personal stories, and I think it was nice that she didn't feel embarrassed to share them with us because it was helpful to get other people to share their stories when they heard it from her. And she's a senior here, so I think it made everyone feel more comfortable. I do feel like dialogue is important from communicating in class in a college or education type setting, but also when you leave college or even before that, when you look for internships, being able to communicate with people is really important. And I feel like dialogue experience like that helped with that because it was maybe a difficult topic and you were able to express how you felt about it. And sometimes in the workforce or in life, you're going to have difficult situations that you're put in and you need to be able to talk with people and handle them. I feel like since the purpose that we're all going to college is to learn, life skills as well as skills for our major, it was an important step for us as freshmen and transfer students. However, I do think that 2 hours was a little bit long. I felt like the first 30 minutes focused on dialogue versus debate versus discussion was way too long. I feel like for the majority of people, we know the differences between those, and it just needed to be briefly addressed, not in such a length. We had to read, when we had to read off of the sheet, I didn't think that was necessary. And I feel like an hour would have been sufficient. There was a lot of dead time where we all sat around looking at each other waiting for someone to answer. So I feel like if it was shorter, it would have been just as productive in half the time. So that's how I feel about the length of time that we spent. So I really do, like, I did enjoy my topic. I thought it was interesting. I didn't expect so many people who were personally connected to it to be in that dialogue. So that was surprising to me that there were so many personal stories, which I found helpful because you get it from firsthand experience instead of just hearing like an example story from a textbook or anything like that. So there was a wide range of stories from a girl who had transferred to Clemson and she played softball at her previous school, and it was just really stressful for her, and they had therapists there to help them through that stressful experience, to people who had had panic attacks, people who had been diagnosed with bipolar, OCD, and other health issues. So I really appreciated being able to hear a lot of different stories from people, and I think it gave a better perspective on it, as well as the inclusion of like statistics of like the amount of mental health problems there are in college students in America, and also to see like how Clemson compares to other colleges. I think was important for us to realize that Clemson isn't like immune from that. So I enjoyed it overall, but I thought it was a little bit long. Thank you.